That's at the airport, right?
That's at the airport.
Yeah.
Here,
Now
there
it's
it
big.
is.
This is the
There
part of
it
the
is.
plane. That's the plane when you were alone.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Look at
hilarious.
that. Look at that. You ever travel in a plane completely empty? That was a lady who was out. That's Prasad and myself. And there in the front is Shri
Wow.
Mataji. Nobody in the plane. And there
Oh, this
she's,
is the realization Wow,
yeah.
moment. Look at that.
That's the whole crew, And this is the
captain.
The captain sitting there next to Shri Mataji.
That is incredible.
And Duilio was translating,
Oh yeah, Uncle Duilio.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have the date, the exact
Yeah.
date.
24/8/95. Yeah.
Is the captain the guy just in front, sitting at the feet of Shri Mataji?
That's the captain.
Wow.
And that's Rio now. We arrived.
Hello everyone, welcome to the episode number 4 of Sahaj Times podcast. My name is Lele, I'm the host of this podcast, and with me there is the one and only Fabrizio. How are you, Fabrizio?
Very good. Hello everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. After 6 attempts, we managed to start with an intro without laughing. So I think
it's always the same intro. Always the same line. The one and only Fabrizio Trezza.
And we managed to mess it up in spite of that. But now I think we're on. We're enjoyable. We're spontaneous. We're happy to be here. So I think it's going to be a very good podcast.
Shall we get into the topic of this episode?
Yeah.
Because in this episode, we'll bring back some real life experiences with Shri Mataji with 2 special guests from Argentina. Would you like to introduce them, Fabrizio?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 2 special guests, a very dear uncle and a very dear auntie. So the uncle is Uncle Horacio. He's originally from Argentina. He received his Separatization in 1984. He was a student, so was very young. And a fun fact, he went to an India tour 2 weeks after getting his Separatization. I thought that was pretty amazing, and we will talk about it during the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Auntie Marie Amèlia, which is originally from Portugal. She was living in UK when she got her Separatization in 1979. And also a fun fact about Auntie, which probably is going to be one of the stories, Shri Mataji attended her marriage in an actual church. That's a pretty awesome, epic story that you all should know about it. But without further ado, I think we should bring them in.
Yes, for sure. Hello Auntie. Hello, Uncle.
Welcome.
Hello.
Let's get into the first question straight away, because you spent so much time with Shri Mataji in real life. You traveled a lot with her, and so much that one episode won't be enough. That's why I think we'll invite you again, later on the podcast. But also, if I'm not wrong, you were the only ones that were in a plane with Shri Mataji the first time she went to Argentina. Is that right?
Yes, actually, it was not the first time. It was the last time she went to Argentina. So, and I will go there because it was an amazing story. But I wanted to start from the beginning very quickly, just to explain how I saw my path through Sahaja Yoga. When I came, as you mentioned, to India tour, of course, I was very new and I didn't have the full comprehension of Sahaj. But when I first met Shri Mataji face to face, it was in after meeting her coming from the airport in Bombay. We went to Vaitarna, and we were at that time. Each place we were going in India tour, we were giving a flower to Shri Mataji. When it was my turn, it was my first time. I was close to her. Somebody said, "Oh, this is Horacio from Switzerland," And I said, "No, I'm not from Switzerland. I'm from Argentina," And it was funny because first thing, and before everything, asked me, "Are you feel better now?" And I had been sick 2 days before, you know,
Wow.
and
Yo.
I just couldn't believe it that she knew that I was going through that. And then when I said I am from Argentina, she said, "Oh, you're very concerned about your country." Uh,
Wow.
and and I wanted to say this to introduce a little bit the topic of, I mean, if there is a topic, but with Maria Amelia, we live a lot of stories in Europe and other places, which Shri Mataji, me in Australia as well, when after getting married. But we wanted to speak particularly about the experience we had in South America, which were incredible when Mother came. After the first year, I came to Sahaj, and we were, I remember, in a restaurant in Madrid with Arno and Maria Amelia. I mean, the stories are very linked together with Arno, Maria, Switzerland, Argentina.
Nice.
Uh, we were preparing a puja in a restaurant that was from the Sahaj Yogini, and I came out to see whether Mataji arrived, and I saw her in the terrace with Arno and Maria having a Coca-Cola, you know. And they called me, come, 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 and I was very shy at that time. I barely spoke English, and I said, I remember Maria was giving me some English lessons at that time, I remember. And if you remember, Maria.
I had forgotten. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's true. Also to Christian. Yeah.
And I managed to say to Shimatashi, I want to go to Argentina this year and speak about you, Mother. And I just said it like that. And then later on, after the puja, we had a beautiful puja, very improvised and very Sahaj. We were having a paella in the restaurant with Mataji, a huge U table, and I was a bit far. And at one point, Mataji in the middle, she said to me, when are you going to Argentina? And I said, in August, Mataji. I said, that's cold. And she looked at that and said, but it will not be too cold. And the funny thing is that the first time I went to Argentina after getting my realization was in August 85. From the day I arrived to the day I left, it was sun. It was no one single day
Wow.
of cold.
Man. Wow.
Anyway, I wanted to introduce it like that.
Amazing.
But, it was quite amazing. And then we went, I think, to Rio for the first time.
So, Auntie, you were there in 1992 when you went the first time?
The first time, yes, because Shri Mataji had asked me to go, and she had been previously to Rio once, but no one stayed. And then the other towns in Brazil were already going on, like, for instance, Salvador. And then she asked me if I could go to launch Rio. My son was at the Ramshala school, so no problem. My girls, they were very small, but I just left them in Rome. And so I could go for 2.5 months, 3 months, something of the kind. So I went there. So we were looking for a place where Shri Mataji could stay. So we went check houses and everything. But in Rio, there is a lot of black magic, and they call it candomblé. And so each house we were visiting, they had these altars with their magic stuff. So we couldn't have
Wow.
it. So we went on waiting and looking and looking. Finally, we found a nice apartment, and it was in the main road in front of the sea in Ipanema, which is really very famous in Rio. So we could have it. So we had, and so we did a couple of programs to have already some newcomers, and worked on them and everything, so they could be there to welcome Shri Mataji. And actually, there was something that happened there. When she came, we could manage to have a spot in an interview on TV. And we thought we had an interview for Shri Mataji. And in the end, it came out that it was a round table where Shri Mataji would be one of the people interviewed, and not exactly the one, as we had thought to. So when we went to to the TV, so she asked Ines to come to translate, and she asked Duilio and I to accompany her as well. And Arno wanted to come, and she said, "No, no, you stay in the apartment." Okay, so we went, and then when were in the studio, and we realized that Shri Mataji was one of the people interviewed, it was very difficult, and Duilio was not happy at all. And so I was really having a lot of trouble to keep him. Uh, he's going to laugh if he hears this. He will remember, because he wanted to go and interrupt the interview, and it was live. So I said, "We can't do that." So I was telling him, "No, please, it's going to be bad. You can't." And then we came home, and he was furious in the car. And then Shri Mataji made the driver, who was a yogi, stop the car and went and told Duilio, "Go and see those statues over there. It's interesting." So Duilio went and came back and told the driver, "Let's go." I said, "What's going on? You have to tell Shri Mataji." He said, no, they're not good statues. But he had calmed down totally. So Shri Mataji used a very good way for him to forget about it. And arriving at the apartment, Arno was there, and we opened the door, and he said, "Shri Mataji, this was horrible." And Shri Mataji laughed and said, "You see, I could handle one of you there, but not both of you. Therefore, I told you to stay."
That's such a great story.
It was a great story. And then I was very upset, because after all, I had organized this interview. So I was feeling so guilty, you can't imagine. And a couple of ladies were cooking for all of us present there. There were around 20 yogis. You were there, Horacio, right?
Yes.
Yes, you were there, I think.
Yes. Yes.
And then I went in the kitchen to help them. And I was crying and crying because I was really upset.
Oh.
And then Shri Mataji, she might have felt it, because she said, "Where is Marie Amèlia?" And they came and called me, and I came, and I had really big red eyes. And then she said, "What?" And she laughed at me, and she said, "Why are you crying? Everything was fine. I went online live, so it was great." But you see, that was it. And of course, she made us laugh, and all the tension went away.
Wow.
And so that was the first time in Rio. And there is something that happened in 92, arriving in Rio. There was a French yogini who came to help, and she was there, and she was taking pictures. And there it's quite a few, a series of pictures that were quite miraculous, because when she was coming out of the airport, we could see drawing in front of her like the map of Brazil. And
Wow.
approaching the car, Horacio was there preparing with the luggage, remember, in the back. And so I was opening the door for Shri Mataji, and we can see a hand, which is not my hand, is a shadow of a hand opening the door and like protecting and guiding Shri Mataji. It's quite interesting, all these pictures.
It's incredible.
I don't know where I have them, but
I have that photo as well.
you have them as well.
Wow.
It was quite interesting. Yeah.
It is incredible. There are some miracle photos. And on Shri Mataji's body, it was the whole map of South America,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow.
It was incredible,
The real shape. Yeah.
the real shape. And another miracle happened in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, when we did the Puja. We had a big tally in copper, I think it was, and she put her feet, and later on they tried to clean it later on, and we noticed that her 2 feet they were there. You know, you could see the 2 feet in the copper, you know, for years it stayed, and in the middle of the 2 feet you could see also South America. You know.
Wow. She was blessing the continent. Amazing.
That's incredible. And then when Mother came, it was a kind of proximity, and she makes you feel without any kind of, you know, she brings you in a bubble, I would say, you know, in a bubble that you feel completely at ease and happy being with Mother, and you can feel that bubble. And you know, one of the things that happened in the beginning when she came in the house, we went to see the whole house. It was a beautiful house of 2 levels in the middle of Buenos Aires with a little garden on the back. and she called us to my wife and me, and we went to her bedroom, and she was sitting at the in the bed, and we had bought a nice carpet, a beautiful carpet. It was just a red carpet to put next to her bed, when she comes out. And then she said, she gave us some cream, which my wife knows which cream it is. I don't have a clue. And she said, let's do this. And she asked us to put that cream on her arms, So my wife was doing one arm, and I was doing the right arm, and she was doing the left arm. And we started doing that, and I noticed the whole dry skin was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
And she started playing with us, She said, "Oh, she's better than you, She's taking more than you," and so like kids, It was really so incredible, and at one point she was really happy. She said, "Oh, we have to start a program like that in Argentina," And when we looked down to the carpet that was red, it was completely white, with all her skin.
No way.
Really?
Yeah, it was completely white. So I asked, Shri Mataji, can we collect that? Yeah, you should, she said. This is what Shri Ganesha was made of.
I was about to say, it reminded me of the story of Shri Ganesha and Shri
Great silence, yeah. And so we collected all this and put it, and it was amazing, the vibrations there. And I wanted to tell because it was a very unique story, and this proximity with mother, it was really built up during all these years. And when she came, it was like no, there was no boundaries in a way, in her bubble,
One question, Uncle, because we already talked about it, like when we had the meeting last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm not wrong, you were working so much for Sahaja Yoga with Shri Mataji that she gave you a day off somewhere in a special place.
No, it's not that she gave me a day off. And I was a bit naughty because that year was Anita who came with Shri Mataji. So I look at all this luggage and all this, and I said, Shri Mataji, I think it's too much for Anita alone to go, because she was going to first Colombia and then New York. And I said, it's too much for Anita alone. Would you want me to come over, to help with the luggage, I said, oh, that's a very good idea. You should come over.
So selfless.
Yeah. I just went in, and it was beautiful because it was incredible, this trip to Colombia. We were in the plane at which she was speaking about Colombia a lot, and we had only not even 24 hours to be in Colombia, She was, and because it was a delay, and so she arrived quite late. And she arrived, I don't know, in the late evening or mid-morning, but very early. And we went directly to the ashram, and Marilor was there. She was very relaxed. She was telling me, "Look how relaxed she is. It's absolutely relaxed." And it was incredible. That day, Mother did everything. She went shopping. She came back. She saw the whole collective. The whole collective was in the ashram, and she was speaking to everyone. Then she went to the program, did a program. Then she came back, and then we went to the airport to go to...
In the 24 hours only?
On 24 hours,
Wow.
It was incredible. There is... And so, to answer Lele, when we arrived to New York, we came with Shri Mataji, with Anita, and of course Manoj was there, and Gagan and Karen and everybody receiving Shri Mataji. And then we heard noises that she was going to Kanachohari. We were very happy. It was at the beginning of Kanachohari. She was going to see Kanachohari. And so we wanted to go. And then we got news that Shri Mataji had invited us to go to Disneyland, to Disney World. because just to thank us for accompanying her to there. And we were a little bit, we want to go there, not to Disneyland, but we couldn't say anything because what's mother giving back as a present, and
Amazing, amazing.
it was another miracle there that very quickly in Colombia because for me it was a miracle because I was part of it, and Shimata, she was saying goodbye to the people in Colombia in the airport, and I was with her passports. Her passports are very very big, they have like many passports one to the other, and then I had to arrange all the papers, and they were asking where is the visa for the US. So I started looking for the visa, and I look and I look and I look and I look, and I couldn't find it, And then hold on 1 second, I look again, Then Prasad, who was there, said, "Look at me," and came over and said, "What's going on? I cannot find the visa for the US." "Oh, give it to me," with very, "Give it to me. I will find it." "Okay, I give it to you." I keep on looking and said, "I cannot find it either," And then we went together, both of us, page by page, making sure that there was no one page, and we couldn't find it. But that time, mother looked like that and said, "What these two are doing," And so we kept like that and said, "Mother, we cannot find the visa for America." "Oh, give it to me." And she opened it like that. "Here it is."
No way.
In one opening,
What a
I would
game.
look at that and we pull our ears and went back. "Yeah, the visa,"
But this is actually what you also said about the trip to Disneyland, Uncle, which I thought was interesting. The fact that no matter what the situation is, no matter what the context is, no matter what you want, you don't say no to Shri Mataji. Right? That's the. So, but I'm imagining that both of you came to Sahaj very early, and you got thrown right in the middle of the circle, right? How fast did you adjust to this? You can never say no, just go with the flow. It must have not been too easy, or was it easy? Like, how was the experience?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, she was telling us things, because at the beginning, she showed us how to grow, how to go deep. And she had lots of motherly love and patience with us. She was teaching us everything, protocol, the way the Kundalini was going up, the chakras. She was explaining everything. And so we're listening to her. And we realized very quickly that if we were not following or arguing, things would not work out. Just would not work out. So because very often we have our minds that obviously react immediately saying, yes, but as soon as the but was coming, it was wrong.
Wow.
So, and sometimes she would just let us go and she would let us give the ideas and everything. And in the end, we would notice that it was totally wrong. So little by little, that's why I say it was pretty quickly. Little by little, we just started listening and following. It was not a question of obeying, but it was just of following her indications, because if we followed without questioning, it would work out just like this.
Wow.
And for instance, it was once in 1984 in Pune, Horacio. We had the weddings, the 24 couples getting married at the ashram in Pune. And being good Swiss, I'm not a Swiss, as you know, but living here, I became really a good Swiss organizing. And so we organized, we are having 200 foreigners coming for the weddings, and everyone staying at the ashram. So we organized caterers, as you can imagine. We organized a big tent where we would have the fires and everything. So we were at the ashram, and Shri Mataji just decided, let's go shopping. So we went shopping. We went with her. And actually, that's how the porcelain painting started. That's another story. and then we went shopping. When we were coming back, the people from the tent were starting putting it up. It was almost finished. And she said, what is this? And we explained, Shri Mataji, we ordered a tent so we could have really the marriages and the party and everything together there. And she said, no way, send them back. We'll do it ourselves.
Oh, wow.
And we want to say but they said no, no, no. So we just sent away, and it was amazing. It worked. And the yogis built something for her. It worked. And then we had the caterers for the day of the wedding. And at a certain moment, Warren came and laughed and said, Marie Amèlia, take a paper and a pencil and go to Shri Mataji in her room. I said, oh my goodness, what's going on? So no, just go. Okay. I took a paper and a pencil and went up to her room. And then she said, what are you going to do for the meal after the weddings? And very happily, I said, we have a caterer, Shri Mataji, and I gave her the menu. And she said, not at all. I almost fainted. I said, how are we going to do for 200 people? But I didn't dare to say anything. And they said, yes, Shri Mataji. And she said, okay, I will cook. So you will ask the British, because British were coming. Here is the list of the ingredients. Therefore, the paper and the pen. So I wrote the whole list of ingredients. And then she said, the British will, because they have Indian shops there, they can buy and bring all the spices and everything. It's okay, fine. And the following day, at 6 a.m, she was in the kitchen with the ladies to prepare the food. Wow. And, it worked out. We had big, huge pans outside, and she was cooking and supervising the food and everything. All the yoginis were helping. And it worked perfectly well.
Amazing.
So that's why, somehow she was teaching us, don't argue, follow. Because, if we follow, we let the divine act through it. And it was by experience that we did. But it was coming little by little. Sometimes we would say, yes, but Shri Mataji, maybe it's not good. She would not say anything, but it wouldn't work out.
I don't know. I never thought to say no to Shri Mataji because, it was something like natural. Each time I was close to her, I was in meditation and praying inside that I do the right thing, that I, be connected to her. And actually she, so many different things. After I was in Argentina, and I came in '93 to Switzerland and to the Guru Puja, in fact, in Cabela. Was my first time in Cabela in '93, really, because before I was in Argentina. And I was coming, and then, we went, it was incredible. We went to remember the program we had in Switzerland, when she spoke about the flag and with the Swiss flag, and
Yeah. A tough one, no?
It was a tough one, It was very, very strong. Saying that, I leave it there. and then we, my wife was there with Krishna, our son. And she turned around and she asked her, "Are you coming?" Because she was going to Paris for the Mahakali Puja. "Are you coming to Paris?" And we never had thought of going to Paris. And she said, "Yes, Shri Mataji." I look at her. All right, we're going to Paris. I didn't know, So we jumped into the car, went to Paris, and we went to the puja. And then I was going back to Argentina. I went to the stage at the end of the puja, gave flowers, and then said, "Shri Mataji, I'm going now to..." Where are you going? Where are you in? No. Wait a minute. Okay. And basically, she asked me, "Where are you going?" "I'm going back to Argentina." Shri Mataji, wait. And then she asked me, "Can you get a job in Switzerland?" And I said, "With your blessing, Shri Mataji, I can do anything." That was my answer.
It's not me.
I cannot do it, but you can do it. And incredibly enough, and that, to make it very short, I tried to get in a job. Of course, in the UN was the only possibility for me. Since that time was July, August, September, every day going to the UN, giving CVs, nothing will work, until one day I was a little bit frustrated, and I started getting angry with myself, and I said, why I'm in this situation? You know, my mother is the mother of the universe. You know, what is a job for her? And I started speaking to Shri Mataji. It was very early in the morning, between
Wow.
6. I was accompanying Jillian. My wife was working. I accompanied her to the station. She was taking the train, and I was walking back to the ashram. And I started speaking loudly to Shri Mataji, and I said, Shri Mataji, I need a job. And I explained why, you know, my son is here. I have to pay for Dharamsala. I have to pay for my son in Rome. You know, I need a good job. Blah, blah, blah. And I spoke, you know, like she was walking with me loudly, you know, like if
Wow.
somebody would have passed in the street and said, this guy is crazy,
He's
speaking
crazy.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
himself, you know. And that you know, and by the way, all those days when I was looking for a job, I was typing the translations of the bhajan, the songs, you know, the songs that you see with the English translations.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
it was
wow.
it was a thing that I was helping Sham. It was his his initiative, but I was actually typing those English translations. And at one point he said, oh, you know, the day that you finish typing the last song, you will get a job. He said like that, you
Really?
know, and left, you
Really?
know. Well, that day I went and did the same thing that I did every single day. The day I spoke to Shimata, the day I walking, you know. And I put my tie, and I went to the UN, and I did the same things. Came back to the house, typed the song, and it was the last song.
No way.
7 o'clock in the evening, the telephone rings, and Gregoire take the phone and said, "This is for you from the UN."
No way.
Hold on.
Crazy.
I answered the phone, and the guy who was actually from Ecuador, imagine, so we were speaking in Spanish. I said, I am Inigo Salvador. Look at the name, Salvador, you know, the savior, you know.
Savior.
And then he said, I don't know from where it came, your CD. It may have come from heaven, because I was looking for somebody like you for so long, you know.
No
No
way.
way.
And said, can you come tomorrow? And said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot come tomorrow. I'm going to Italy. We were going for the puja, you know, for the Ganesha puja. Okay, after tomorrow. No, I'm coming back on Wednesday. And he said, okay, come on Wednesday. You know? And then I came, and that
Wow.
was my job for the next 14 years. You know, then actually my boss left, but I continued.
Auntie, before we were talking about conditionings and saying no and stuff like that, but and I'm trying to go through to a story, actually two stories. The first one is related to your first puja, and because I really love that story, like, could you share it with everyone?
Okay. Actually, I think that it was to the three of you that I told it for the first time, because I
Oh,
had
wow.
practically
Wow.
forgotten it. So when I was raised in a Catholic background, of course, I mean, we all had backgrounds, church or Protestants or Catholic or whatever. And I was in Cambridge. And so I just had my realization, and I felt very strongly. So I was fascinated by this lady who really had such a power. And but I did not know anything about protocol, about puja, about anything. And so I was invited to go to this puja in this place in London. And I arrived, and the hall was full. It was a room, because we were not many, around 40, 50 people. And so as the hall was full, I stayed in the back, actually in the next room, so I couldn't see really what was going on. And I think it was a protection, because I would not have understood, and maybe would have been scared with all the different things that I was seeing. And in the end, we were going to her feet, and at that time we were putting the hands under and the head on top, and it was quite an experience, because we know that vibrations that she emanates from there are the strongest ones, and really very powerful. But you see, in my background, it's something that you don't do. You can put yourself on knees, but you don't bow at anyone.
Yeah.
So I was resisting, really resisting. And actually, there was a friend, a Swiss girl, a young lady who was a Marie Arnold's friend. She was there, and uh, and she told me, "Go. It's just a couple of minutes. It's nothing, and you feel good." So okay, I went, and it went on and on and on, and then she said, "But strange. It's very good, but it stops here at this chakra." And then one of them said, "Yes, Shri Mataji, she smokes." And then everyone laughed, and Shri Mataji laughed, and said that was it. And in fact, it was really quite an experience because I felt extremely well. And the gag is that this person who was the one, because everyone was trying to really not force me, but
Push you.
convince me to do it. And I was really resilient to do. And then the person who finally said, "Just go, it's a couple of seconds." I also did, "It's fine," and she never stayed. She went away. So she just gave me this great service because
She
I
she was
felt
the
really very
messenger.
good. Yeah. So I was lucky because I mean, she's still around. She's here in Switzerland. She owns a school, or she used to own a school actually. So, but you see how life is. She went, and for me, it was a triggering moment. Yeah.
Yeah, the 85 tour in South America was incredible. As I was saying, we had some privileged moments with mother because we actually had moments. I remember before going to the program, watching TV, and watching TV, we were like with the control switching from one to the next one, and it was incredible because I was finding the most incredible films. The first one was about King Arthur, you know. And so
Wow.
she starts speaking about King Arthur, and she said, he was a very just king, and she enjoyed. Then I changed, and
Wow.
it was the end of the color of purple,
Yeah.
the one of Spielberg, where it's Whoopi Goldberg and other, and it was a very sad moment, but also very emotional when towards the end. So I knew because I have seen that film 2 or 3 times. So before the moment came, I was telling Shimata very quickly what happened, that she has sent away the kids when they were very, very small with the sister, and now they were coming back, just grown ups, and to see her mom after a lifetime really of suffering for her. And she started looking, and the two sisters come together. And then I look at Shimatashi, and she had a tear, and
Wow.
she said, Whoopi Goldberg, such an incredible, she's such an incredible artist, things
Wow.
like that, And then we start watching a film that was airing. It was the Fugitive, with Harrison Ford, and it was a very, very strong film, with the wife dead and all the blood and all the things. She was watching it, and she was really, and I look at the watch and the time, and it was really late to go to the program. It was a program where we had prepared. So at one point I said, and it was a really very intense moment when she was being searched, and and I said, Shimatashi, I think it's time to go to the program, And she looked and said, "Oh yes, yes, yes. Let's go to the program. Turn off the television." So we went to the program. It was a fantastic program. We sang songs, and she was also explaining the meaning of the songs to the public, and she loved that program. She was so pleased at the end and said, "Argentina, I never expected," and we came back, and Mariano, who was there living he was leading the collective at the time, had a brilliant idea. He went to a video club and had the Fugitive and another film of Harrison Ford, and he took to the room, And so mother asked for room service at that time because there was no food, and she had something to eat. Watching this scene, she was so pleased. She could see the end of the film, And it's funny because the American English, she doesn't understand much, So I was she asked me to press her feet, and I was, translating everything that he was saying while pressing her feet,
Wow.
with my back to the television. And then the film finished, and then Mariano said, "There is this other film of Harrison. Yes, put it on, put it on." She wanted another film.
That's amazing.
And the,
Amazing.
and the other film was regarding Henry. It's a film where he goes to buy, Harrison Ford goes to buy some cigarettes, and he received a bullet in the head. And then he wipes completely his memory, and he becomes completely different person, very innocent, and he started discovering how horrible he was. He was a very right-sided person, cheating with a wife and all this. And he completely changed and became a very nice person, and said, "I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this job. I love my wife, and it's
Sweet.
it was very sweet." And when it finished, Mate said, "I think this 1 second was the best than the first one, It was better than the first one. But these moments for me, and then she said, "I like to watch good films. You have to write them for me, and tell me
Oh,
about
that's
it."
so
Oh,
nice.
that's lovely.
Yeah, it's true. When we were preparing her rooms, we were also putting some videos because we knew that she sometimes liked to watch them. That's true. I had
Yeah.
forgotten that.
Yeah, it's an aspect,
Yeah.
Wow.
Auntie, I don't have a question, but I'm pretty sure that you have a story to share with us.
Oh my
I'm pretty
goodness.
sure.
Which one?
Now, actually, because we mentioned before the one about your marriage, because we mentioned in the intro, and I think, for what I know, it's like the best Sahaj story I've ever heard before.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
For real,
No.
for real.
Well, the thing is, the day I met her for the first time, as I told you, she at this program at Caxton Hall on Thursday evenings. So I went to see. It was just I think it was around April '79, and then at the end, as I was a newcomer, I was put in front, and then she talked to me. She asked me my name, and before I could even finish and say, I was saying Marie, and Arno was there. She said, "She's coming from Cambridge, mother," and she looked at him and me, and she smiled and said, "I know." Well, I think she meant, "I know what's going to happen," because we didn't. Because we didn't. And so 1.5 months later, it was end of June. So I was engaged. We were engaged, and we married in 1 year's time. 1 year later, so it was in '80. At that time, there were no Sahaj weddings yet, and of course, we wanted her to be there to bless us. So the only alternative we had, we invited her and Sasipi as guests to the wedding.
Wow.
So, and Sasipi could not come, and yet he sent us a present, and we still have it. And Shri Mataji came and she brought us a nice present. It was a sitar in silver that you could open this sitar, and it was a kumkum box inside.
Beautiful. Wow.
Nice.
And well, one day I can show you, Fabrizio, because you live here.
Please.
And then, well, she came, and just two weeks before she was coming, we heard that she was marrying 2 couples in London. I said, "She's marrying people." But it was the first time. So
Yeah.
so okay, it was too late. She was coming, and as she was coming to Lisbon, so because we did marry in Sintra, near Lisbon, so we organized the 2 first programs in Portugal. So we married on the 2nd of August, and the 3rd and 4th we had the first programs in Lisbon. And then she came to the church, and actually we have pictures with her holding her left nabi, and she said that she was holding giving vibrations and bandants to the priest because he was very nervous and he could just jump. So to prevent him from jumping, she was giving him vibrations and bandants. But she also said that it was the first time she went to a Catholic church. This was a very small chapel. open just for weddings. And she said that going there, she realized the influence the Catholic Church had on people, and she realized how strong it was, the influence that this institution could have on people.
Wow.
It was going to this because it was the first time she went there, so she used this uh, means to work on it afterwards. And yeah, and she came and came to the party. So honestly, you know that for wedding parties, at that time, nowadays it's different, but you had tables and everyone was sit at a special place and everything. And knowing that Shri Mataji was coming, I didn't want it. So told my parents, no, 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 everyone will sit as they want, which was really an innovation because that is never to be seen. Because obviously we were sitting next to Shri Mataji. That's
Of
what we
course.
wanted. And actually, there was something very funny because we had three little kids, you know, the kids who bring the rings and everything. And two were the nephew and niece of Arno, Antoinette's children. And the other one was the daughter of my cousin brother. And this one, I mean, I hadn't seen her yet because I was not living in Portugal for many years already. And everyone was worried because I couldn't see her before. We didn't do the practice of the wedding. They said, she's not going to go and she doesn't know anyone. But when she saw me, she said, Cousin Marie Amèlia, and she came and came in my arms, and she wouldn't leave me. And the gag is, she wouldn't leave Shri Mataji either. So during the wedding lunch, she would come and sit on my lap and would stay there. And Shri Mataji said, she's a born realized, therefore she comes.
Wow.
That was interesting too.
Nice.
Amazing. Amazing.
She was a 2-year-old kid.
Wow.
So here's the story.
Amazing.
That's one of the best stories ever.
Should we maybe just ask the last one? I think was so amazing. The one on the plane that you were alone on the plane. I think that's a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
one too. You can ask
I-
that, then we
Also
conclude on
because that was the first question.
that.
It's true. It was the first question, but it was on the last trip to Argentina,
last
so we had
trip.
to start from the beginning, you know. But that was an incredible thing because I let you tell the story, Maria Amelia, but I will start
No,
before
start. I'll finish. You go.
before because we were going. You know, Shimataji was coming from Frankfurt through Brazil with Varig. It's a Brazilian company that doesn't exist anymore, but it was very good. And from there with Varig to Buenos Aires afterwards. But then, so we went to Germany. I remember going to Germany like today, arriving to this room, and it was a cancellation. It was a problem with the flight, and so they were looking, and then the Germans were very happy because then they said, "Oh, Shimataji can stay another day," you know. And there I can meet, you know, Shimataji, no, we cannot do that because then you will arrive the day of the program, and this is too much for you. And then I remember Philippe looking at me, you know, not happy, you know. I said, I'm sorry, but you know, for your mother, you cannot do that, you know. So she said, okay, then we have to find another solution, you know. And then it was this idea of okay, there is this plane at that time. Okay, we didn't know. We went to the airport. Okay, that will allow us to arrive the day before. Shimataji can rest, and then the program is the next day. If you want to continue.
And then when we're at the airport, you know that sometimes a bus takes us to the airplanes. And so we were going and we met all the crew and we couldn't understand what we were doing with the crew. And they looked at us. We were around 10, right?
Yeah, the bus was nearly
Yeah.
empty, you know,
Yeah.
us and the crew. And said, what
Wow.
happened with the people, you know, were they?
And I mean, we were 10 ourselves, right? There was
Yeah. It was
not many
Duilio.
people.
No, it was Duilio, actually. I saw him in the thing last time. I said it was not. But
So
it
there was there was
Duilio,
you, Duilio, Valeria,
Valeria, Sandeep,
myself.
yeah, and I think that's it. Huh? I
Yeah.
mean,
So you see, not many people. and the captain of the crew just told us, it's very strange. We don't understand why this flight should go empty, and they choose you to come. You are the only passengers on board. So we just look at each other, said, so funny. And then so we went up, and then it was true. No, it's not true. There was one other passenger, one lady.
One
So
lady.
she was all alone, and all of us, we were sitting together, and Shri Mataji was in first class in front.
Wow.
And then, well, we started talking because the crew had nothing to do. So we had one person per crew there for us, per person, I mean. And then, so we explained about Satya Yoga, the vibrations, what we could feel. They all wanted to have.
They put the plane in this automatic thing, and even the captain came, and they sat in front of Shri Mataji. I have a video that I send you, Lele, with the timing where you can see that the plane was empty, and everybody put in their hands and getting the realization from Shri Mataji and Duilio translating, to them in
Incredible.
Portuguese.
That's at the airport, right?
That's at the airport.
Yeah.
Here,
Now
there
it's
it
big.
is.
This is the
There
part
it
of the
is.
That's the plane when you were alone?
Yes.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Look at that. Look at that. You ever travel in a plane completely empty? That was a lady who was out. That's Prasad and myself. And there in the front is Shri Mataji. Nobody in the plane. And there
Oh,
she's.
this is the
Wow,
realization
that-
moment. Look at
Yeah.
that.
That's the whole crew, And this is the
captain.
captain sitting there next to Shri Mataji.
That is incredible.
And Duilio was translating,
Oh yeah, Uncle Duilio.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have the date, the exact
Yeah,
date.
yeah. 24/8/95. Yeah.
Is the captain the guy just in front, sitting at the
Yes.
feet of Shri Mataji?
That's the captain.
Wow.
And that's Rio now. We arrived.
Before we conclude, because we will have Lele as by protocol closing the podcast, I just wanted to say I cannot avoid making this comparison because Uncle, you're from Argentina, Auntie, you're from Portugal. Tonight you demonstrate that you are the Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo of storytelling. Because I couldn't avoid saying that. I just it was too obvious, and we really enjoyed it incredibly. It was from the heart. It was interesting. It was fun. So from my side, thank you so much. I really felt like I learned so much and enjoyed myself so much tonight. So thank you so much for coming.
It's a great fun to share these stories. It's thank you to you, for inviting us because it was lovely to be here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us, and it's always good fun. And
Yeah.
you see, once you start talking, you can't stop because one
comes
tells
out.
something, the other one remembers, and goes on and forth. And we live so many things together, and it makes really enjoyable. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Fabrizio, for being the best co-host ever. And this was Sahaj Times. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Sahaj Times podcast. My name is Lele. I'm the host of this podcast. And with me, there is the one and only.
Oh my god.
It's today. I don't know what's wrong. It's like Mercury retrograde isn't something astrological is not working.